Welcome back. It's Philip A. Crochman with I'm Creature Science at I'mCreatureScience.com. Today we're in Group H of the Movement Master Database, and this is the rhomboid depression and raise. This is a cool exercise because it's very subtle. A lot of things that I'll talk about, we're going to optimize these 90-degree angles. And that's just where this is going to start, because when we're locked in at 90 degrees, what we can really create is the force couples of right triangles. So the rhomboid depression and raise is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to get a barbell. It'll be right around the mid to the top of your occipital bone, which is back of your head, mid to the top of the occipital bone, which is top of the We're going to get a barbell, level it about midway onto the top of your occipital bone, which is the back of your head. We're going to start with our palms beneath the bar, and it's more of a balancing act. Once we're here, I don't want my head being forward and down the way it is, right? So normally I would do this facing the rack, but for visual purposes, I'll go ahead and do it right here, facing the camera away from the rack. And the reason why I would do it facing the rack is just because it's a safety thing. So right now, my elbows are kind of kicking back, which means that the inferior angle of my scapula is kind of coming up. It's kind of winging. And that's not what we want. There's no stability there. We don't want that winging. We want the rhomboids and the serratus anterior to be supporting the scapula so much that it keeps it up against the thoracic cavity, and that this is our neutral and most natural posture. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to use the rhomboids to depress, and then we're going to raise. As soon as I start applying forces vertically, notice that my elbows, without me trying, are starting to kick back. And before I come up, I'm perfectly in the coronal plane. When you're doing that, I want you to think about moving everything from your traps down towards the ground. So you get this movement that pushes. This is really important if you're dealing with some type of upper quarter syndrome, because that's really what most people are dealing with. This is why this is so important. Layer cross syndrome is really just running amok. It was the first pandemic, for real. If you look up Vladimir Janda and his research on upper and lower quarters syndrome and how that promotes an anterior pelvic tilt of the pelvis, which leads to this hyperlordosis of the lumbar spine, which leads to a hyperkyphosis of the upper thoracic and cervical spine, which gives you this forward head posture. The joint-by-joint segments of the body, they're affected, they're adjacent responsibilities. So a movement like this can really correct you in significantly in short amount of time. So we're going to imagine that everything from my traps down is moving down towards my waist. That's going to support my scapula here. Elbows going to look like they're coming forward first. As soon as I start pushing, it's going to fall into the coronal plane. And we're just going to extend to behind nothing else. Let me move over a little bit so I don't smash my hands. I'm just going to do a few reps. So, heels and toes firmly in the ground. Muscles move down, support the scapula, depression and raise. It's depression of the scapula, raising of the arms. Make sure you ain't getting caught. I'm gonna turn around and do that. So everything's gonna move down, depression of the scapula, raising of the arms. This is not a behind the neck press. There are a lot of similar muscle activations, the triceps and everything. But the first thing that you are thinking is push the scapula up against the thoracic cavity, move everything down in the back, raise. And that's going to create this perfect rotation of the scapula up without any winging. Once you know what you're doing, makes all the difference. It's not like magic, my friends. Why? Because it is magic. Turn to rhetorical. How do you move?